All right, got a brand new one for you here today. Got a 4070 Ti Super. I thought I'd pick one of these up. You guys responded to my poll pretty well that this was the one you wanted to see. I've got this, and I've got a 4070 Super as well. So definitely check out some of these videos coming in. This is the first one. So I decided to pick this up because GPU prices are getting outrageous, and actually grabbed this one with a 1-year warranty used from eBay for way less than what a 5070 Ti would be, which is kind of its successor. So with all that out of the way, you can definitely get some deals out there, especially if you buy the eBay refurbished. You get a 1-year warranty with those. I'm not sure a lot of people know that, but yeah, let's just get straight into the test without any fluff. All right, so we're at 83, 93 FPS here at the very outskirts of town. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple things first, though. We're going to come in here and take a look at what we got going on. So we're at the low setting. It just says custom right here, but we're at low. DLAA preset model is K. It'll override once restart the game. But yeah, everything else is just as follows. So right here on low, we're pulling some pretty decent numbers. What I want to do next, though, is come in here and skip time. I want to go to night because I want to be able to see what it looks like with all that beautiful neon in the world. All right, so now we're at night. So let's go ahead and jump straight to it. All right, let's go up to medium. We're at some pretty good frames here, so no big deal there. Go up to medium, go back to that transformer model. Go back to DLAA here, and right here, no ray tracing, no path tracing. Everything looks good. Let's turn off this stuff. It looks bad. I don't like it. All right, so yeah, let's come in here. This is just straight medium. Nothing crazy going on at all. Again, this is 4K on a 4070 Ti Super. This is just the black Ventus model. I'm not a fan of the way the Ventus looks now, but I really do like the darked out Ventus on the 40 series. I think it looks pretty mean, and the new Ventus looks pretty mean too. As long as you get that dark shade, it looks really nice. So yeah, right here at 63. So we might need to start looking at some upscaling here soon. So let's jump over and see what we can do with that. A little bit of a snag there, but otherwise very, very smooth. All right, so we're at 61 here. Let's go ahead and run this red light. All right, yeah, so 60. All right, so let's jump over and go to that very next level. So let's come up to a high setting. Let's go back to transformer, back to DLAA, coming through here. I like to keep everyone kind of like involved in this particular part. I don't like to cut it out because I really like for you to be able to see exactly what the settings are, and not just someone like flying through it at the beginning of a benchmark and not giving you any sort of time to read it or know what the hell you're looking at. All right, so 54 FPS here on high. So we're gonna have to start looking at some upscaling right here, just to keep that test right above, keep the test right above 60. That's kind of where I, introduce some upscaling. I don't like to upscale or frame generate until I need to, so that's just kind of how I run things. But yeah, the city looks really good, even without ray tracing. So let's jump into here, and I think it's really gonna pop once that ray tracing comes on. So let's come into here and go up to. Let's go up to Ultra, and we're going to leave it on. We're going to go to the transformer model, but we're going to jump over to quality right here. So right here, we're on Ultra with quality running. So this will get us like right before ray tracing is introduced. Of course, turn all this stuff off. Everything right here is however the Ultra setting sets it. So we're not messing with anything, only just the upscaling and a couple of those like weird, like film grain stuff. All right, so that keeps us just above 60 at times, definitely not 60 all of the time. So right here, we are going to need to do a little bit more upscaling, I'm afraid, especially once we kick on ray tracing. However, the first level of ray tracing is pretty easy, and it's not really hard to run. It's just ray trace shadows. So I'm just gonna keep running through some of this, different areas here. All right, I think I just got the cops alerted on me. Let's just keep going here, see if we can get away from them. All right, so yeah, we are right at 63. So right around 60, which ain't bad. I mean, that's definitely not horrible in a first-person single-player game like this. So yeah, nothing competitive here, so we're okay. Let's go ahead and kick on that balance, though. We're going to kick on balanced. just see what kind of frames it gives us just at ultra, just to get kind of like a what it would take to have like 60 all of the time on an ultra setting before any sort of ray tracing gets introduced. All right, yeah, so we are still looking really good. We're at 77 on here. The outskirts definitely run a lot better than the more populated town center kind of stuff down here. I'm gonna try to not hit that guy. All right, yeah, so we're at 72. All right. Oh no. Yeah, I know. That was my bad. Yes, we're at 70 here, so hopefully I don't get any cops on me. Yeah, so we're at 68 right here. So, all right, let's jump over and go to ray tracing. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Now, it's probably going to run fine. Ray tracing on low really doesn't make a difference. All right, so we're back into it. Let's kick that back over to balanced. We needed it already, so we'll definitely need it now. Let's check out what we got going on here in the ray tracing section. We've got local shadows, not hard to run at all. Everything else is off. All right, so let's turn all this stuff off here. All right, just to keep it nice and clean image. All right, so yeah, let's jump over into it. So we're at 5960 still. So again, that doesn't really do a whole lot. Ray trace shadows is almost like a negligible impact. If you're gonna run ultra, you might as well run ray trace shadows. So yeah, we're looking pretty good here. And this has been kind of the case against all cards that I've looked at. Ray trace shadows just doesn't really make a huge difference. All right, so right here we can kind of say that ultra and ray traced low are about the same performance wise. Let's jump over here and just kind of see what we can get into. All right, I'm just kind of driving around randomly. I'm not in Dogtown, that's where I normally go, but I'm just trying to give like a little bit more variety on this test. All right, yeah, so let's jump over here and let's go to the very next level. Which would be medium. Now, this is going to be the first time that you see ray tracing like kind of, you know, kick it a little bit. So balanced is not going to be enough. We're going to keep it on there just to see how it performs. But this brings in sun shadows and brings up the ray tracing lighting from off to medium. So that's kind of the big thing that happens whenever you go to that next level of ray tracing. So let's come down here. Everything looks like this. Let's go ahead and apply that. All right, so let's keep on going. All right, so right here we are at 45 FPS and we are on balanced. All right, so we're definitely going to have to go up to performance if you're going to start playing around with ray tracing at 4K on this card. But you know, this is last generation, so you know, keep that in mind. And also you know, with the new GPU prices the way that they are, I would absolutely start looking at the used market. You know, if you told me that a 5070 Ti was going to be $1,200 2 months ago, I'd have been like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. But here we are. So again, you know, I picked this up on eBay. If you go to eBay and go to eBay refurbished, they are certified. They come with a 1-year warranty. So I would absolutely, if you're buying used, make sure you have some sort of warranty. A year is plenty of time to tell if a card is going to act up on you or not. So just make sure to protect yourself with that kind of stuff. And you can even buy additional warranty, and you know, whenever you go to checkout and stuff like that. So I don't make anything off of any of these recommendations, by the way. I'm just kind of, you know, spreading the word because I know that, you know, if I was looking for a GPU right now, I would be like, oh my God, that's so much money. But yeah, we are looking like 55 right here, 54. All right, so let's jump over into it. Let's go to performance. Let's leave everything the same. Leave it on performance. See what kind of uplift we can get there. So we are on the preset M. We do not have ray reconstruction enabled, so it looks incredibly good. And the reason is because ray reconstruction breaks the new model, so it allows you to stay on M if you don't run ray reconstruction. But since we are, you know, running a benchmark, we're going to check out both situations because ray reconstruction does look really, really good. You know, especially whenever you get into path tracing. All right, so let's jump over into here. Let's see, can we go down here? Yeah, let's go down here. Some of these places I've never even been. All right, yeah, let's jump over here. So this looks really nice, though. We're at 60 FPS, so let's go to that very next level. So let's go up to, what was that, medium? We're going to go to ultra, and we are going to go to performance. That's what we needed before. Ray reconstruction, I'm going to leave it off. That brings in ray trace reflections. This is when it really starts to look like that quintessential cyberpunk look. Ray trace lighting is on ultra. I always just bump it to psycho because I've tested this 1,000 times. It makes absolutely no difference. All right, so let's jump into here and turn all that off again. Of course, all this, you know, stayed the same. So let's go ahead and apply it. And let's just keep going. All right, so that definitely cost us a little bit of performance, but nothing too bad. We are still in the 60s, and my goodness, it looks good. That ray tracing is just phenomenal looking in this game. Every time I test this game, I just cannot get over, like, look at the reflections. They're just so beautiful. This game just, like, set the bar, and I don't think anyone's touched it yet. Yeah, so let's just keep on going around here. 65, 64. So let's do a little bit of on foot. Let's just go ahead and leave our car here and jump over here. All right, so let's run through it. So look at all this lighting. This is kind of where I wanted to get on foot, because some of the reflections you can really start to appreciate once you're on foot, and especially once path tracing comes in. We take a look at using ray reconstruction with the old model versus the new model. I kind of think it still looks good with ray reconstruction on. Yeah, there's some folks over there, so we might get into a little bit of a fight here. Let's see what kind of happens. So let's go around. Nope, let's keep on going. All right, they didn't alert. Cool. All right, yeah, so let's just run around here. All right, so 70 FPS here, so this looks really good. Let's jump down and go to the very next level here. So let's kick on the path tracing and just kind of hold our nose and see what happens. All right, so transformer model, of course, we're going to use that. Let's go back to performance. Let's turn off ray reconstruction. That's going to protect our override. We'll, again, check it out with and without. So this would be without. Let's jump into here. All right, yeah, so we're looking pretty good as far as all this goes. This is kind of like the setting you're going to have to use if you want path tracing. That gives you 43 FPS. We're going to have to frame generate if we want to do anything beyond this, I believe. But I mean, look at it. So right now, the main thing to pay attention to is some of the textures kind of have this like speckle to them. So while it does look run really good, you have a noticeable difference between this and what the ray reconstruction would provide. So let's just keep on going here. See, this is a perfect example right here. So right here you kind of have like all this speckling that you see, and that's just because path tracing is very intense. So you're basically shooting light at it, and you're trying to get as much detail as you can with as few rays as you can, because it's very intensive. And the old method would just be to like blur it, right? But, you know, ray reconstruction is definitely better. So we're going to turn that on. We're going to lose our preset, but it's going to look a lot better in my opinion, especially on performance. So like all that speckling is gone. All that like shimmer and stuff is like way more smoothed out. This is kind of like a good example. Anything that's like got this like diamond plate pattern to it, I've noticed like really ray reconstruction makes that look really nice. So this is performance with ray reconstruction. I think that performance with ray reconstruction looks better than performance without ray reconstruction on the M model. I still think it looks fine running it just like this. Now, if you wanted to run it with ultra performance, I would say give up ray reconstruction just because ultra performance looks quite terrible still, in my opinion, with ray reconstruction on, because it kicks you off that model. I'm going to turn it off for now so you can kind of see. It's going to jump over to the L model here shortly. Yeah, there it goes. All right, so everything is very, very sharp. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, this is an amazing technology. Everything still looks really, really damn good. And you're pulling 71 FPS with basically Cyberpunk completely maxed out at 4K. And just doing this upscaling, you know. So, but right here, like some of this stuff just looks really shimmery. And these reflections can start to look a little bit like they're like a glistening disco ball or something. It's not like something that it doesn't look great to me. I'll put it that way. So what I'm going to do is hopefully not get hit by any kind of cars. Come over here. So this is with no ray reconstruction, right? This is ultra performance. So let's come down here and I'll show you what it looks like with ray reconstruction on without that preset L. So this jumps back to D. All right, so as you can see, all that speckling and shimmering and stuff, all the rays are like reconstructed, for lack of a better term, to look a lot more natural. You don't have that speckling and weirdness going on. But yeah, these diamond plate patterns right here, they start to look a lot better. They're not near as glistening and shimmery. But unfortunately, at ultra performance, you do get some breakdown in the distance, like that yellow car with the blue top kind of looks a little bit blurry to me. So about that distance and further back starts to look like the image is breaking down, you know. So it's just a matter of personal preference. Again, these tests are just kind of to show you stuff. But notice your latency. I mean, your PCL is in the 30s. This is, you know, nothing wrong with playing this way at all. You just have to decide still, unfortunately, between ray reconstruction or using that preset. All right, so I would personally use the preset if I wanted to go this far down the upscaling ladder, but I think performance looks really good with ray reconstruction on, and you don't get the M model, but I think it still looks a little bit better. So let's test here and throw in some frame generation. So right first, I'm going to see what our kind of base was. All right, so that was about 48. All right, so let's keep an eye on our latency. So our latency is about 42, and that's large part to do with over here in video. You've got your reflex on low latency. That's going to help out a lot. If that wasn't on, it would probably be well into the 60s or 70s, but I like to keep that on all the time at least. If you do frame generation, it's gonna turn it on anyway. So let's go ahead and do some frame gen right here at performance with that ray reconstruction on, just to kind of see what this would look like. I'm going to do a restart. I'll be right back. All right, so we're back in it now. So this is just regular performance with frame generation and ray reconstruction. It looks really good. I'm not going to lie. You get 80 FPS here. And again, you know, you're on last year's, or not last year's, but last generation's hardware. And it's still a viable option right now with GPU prices getting just insane, you know, with all these data centers and stuff. So right now, with it about 80 FPS or so, I'm going to look at two things. I'm going to take a look at our latency just to make sure that that's under control. But I'm going to go back up to balanced, because now that we're frame generating, we can work back up and start to get a little bit more image clarity, especially with that frame generation on. Because the cool thing is that if you can keep your latency down far enough, then you can enjoy going up a little bit more on your, or I guess down on your upscaling, up on your downscaling. I don't know how we're on balanced. I'll put it that way. And you get a little bit more clarity, but you're still able to keep 60 FPS, and your latency is still, you know, for a controller, not terrible. You know, I would like to stay around 75 at the worst case scenario. And right now it's staying right around 70 or so. Ideally, you want about 50, you know, and that can be achieved on, you know, a little bit more powerful card. But right now we're just seeing what we can do with, you know, not having to like sell the family farm to get a GPU. So right here at 63, 62 FPS. So let's jump over and see what all we can do. Of course, we do not have any multi-frame generation. So right now that's, you know, something that's kind of keeping us down a little bit. So let's go back to this M model. So let's turn off the frame. Let's turn off the ray reconstruction. So now we're going to go back to the M model. See how that runs. It is a hell of a lot sharper. It looks really good. I really want them to get that to get us some ray reconstruction on these new models, because it would look. I mean, that would be just like chef's kiss to me. All right, so we're still around 65 FPS. So we've given up ray reconstruction for a slightly cleaner image. It's just, again, you know, personal preference. But, you know, there is one thing that kind of gives you best of both worlds. You could go up to quality with frame generation. That's going to keep your, you know, your clarity a lot higher. Just it's a matter of latency and what you can put up with at that point. Because you really, if you want to keep ray reconstruction, which I would prefer to keep it on one of the older models, you're going to have to, unfortunately, you know, just work with a little bit more latency. It's all kind of like this 4D seesaw that we're having to do here. There's a bunch of different levers we're pulling to see what can give us a nice experience. So right now this shimmering is just all over the place from not having ray reconstruction. So what I'm going to do now is test it out with, again, this is all with frame generation on. Go back to quality with ray reconstruction. So this is going to give us ray reconstruction with the cleanest image possible, full path tracing. We're just leaning on frame generation with the hopes that our latency isn't going to be out of control. All right, so this is definitely the best looking setting. Our latency is a bit high. It's around 82, 83 milliseconds there. Now I'm pretty sure that once you have frame generation enabled, you cannot go to the boost setting. We'll have to check that out, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be grayed out. But yeah, we're still about 83 milliseconds here. Now on a controller, this is, I would say, passable. If you're a person that doesn't require like 60 all of the time and like the snappiest controls in the world, you can definitely get away with having some eye candy at 4K on this card. Let's see about that boost though. I'm just curious. I don't think it's going to let us. Yeah, it's completely grayed out. So this right here, there's a boost setting you could do, but unfortunately it's grayed out. I figured that would be the case. So how I would probably play this, I would definitely use ray reconstruction. I would bring this up to balanced though. That's going to give you a little bit less latency and a little bit cleaner image. You're going to be able to retain your frame generation and your ray reconstruction. All right, so once all those things are in place, let's see how it runs. Now we are in a pretty decent area. This isn't hard to run at all. Let's see if we can get in a little bit more congested city kind of spot. So go ahead and see if I can find an exit here. Here we go. All right, yes, we're at 71 FPS. Latency's under 75, which is really good on a controller. So if you're a controller player, this would be fine. If you are on mouse and keyboard, you know, that's personal. Again, you know, maybe around 50 milliseconds would be more ideal. But you'd probably have to give up path tracing, and we're going to check that out too. So let's just come down here, see what all we can expect. All right, come over here, run the red light. Red lights are for losers. All right, yes, here we go. So we're at 66 FPS here. This looks like a sketchy area. Let's come in here. All right, yes, we're at 61. So what I'm going to do now is see how it runs with just getting rid of path tracing. So we're just going to go down to overdrive or to ultra, and we're going to go to quality. All right, we're going to kick ray reconstruction back on. All this is going to be left on. Go up to psycho, no hit there, might as well do it. Turn all of this stuff off. All right, so right here, this is what we're going to run, and this is probably a very viable setting. You don't need path tracing. It looks breathtakingly beautiful without path tracing and just using ultra ray tracing. And I mean, right here we're at 72 74 FPS. Our latency's around 61, which is a little bit better. Again, controller is more lenient, you know, anything under about 75 on a controller is fine with me. You're at 80 FPS. This is a little bit easier to run over here. I'm trying to find a spot where we can maybe get into a little bit, you know, more congested spot, but this just kind of like been, you know, a pretty good time here with the 4070 Ti Super. I know that's like a big old long word, but this is kind of the predecessor to what is the current 5070 Ti. And to be honest, the 5070 Ti at the time of this video is twice what I paid for this card. So yeah, I don't think that a 5070 Ti is worth twice a 4070 Ti Super. I mean, you basically get a little bit more horsepower and essentially multi-frame generation. If you're one of the lucky folks who managed to get a 5070 Ti, you know, for the MSRP, it's awesome. You probably got one of the best deals on the planet. But right here, if you are in the market, I would absolutely recommend. Look at this. I mean, look at this. Like, come on. This is on a 3-year-old GPU, and it looks amazing at 4K. I mean, come on. You can't beat it. It looks so nice. Latency's in the 50s. Yeah, so let's just call it. Definitely doable. 4070 Ti Super. Just make sure if you're buying these things used, you get some sort of warranty. That's all I'm going to leave you with. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate all the feedback on the post. It helped me pick up know which card to pick up. Again, I have the 4070 Super, and I'm going to be popping that in here soon and run another video. So if you see this, you might be able to catch that one as well. Thanks for watching. Be good, be safe. We'll see you in the very next one. Peace.